Hi, my name's Vanessa Marr. I'm an academic and an artist, and I'm excited to be sharing a project I've been running since 2014 here at Knit and Stitch in Alexandra Palace today. The project invites women to embroider a duster. The purpose of embroidering a duster is to call for greater domestic equality and also to explore the fantastic things that can happen when women come together through stitch and in solidarity. In addition to inviting women from across the globe to submit a duster to the Open Call project, I also work with charities and different organisations. So for example, I'm working with a charity at the moment called We Care, and in a few weeks' time, dusters stitched by unpaid carers will be going to the Senate as a call for equity for those who end up caring for, say, parents, brothers, sisters, partners, but have to give up work in order to do so, and some of the challenges that they face. So I really see the duster as a way of holding the voices of women who are silenced, otherwise ignored, or really sometimes don't have the opportunity to speak up. And in that sense, the project is craftivist. I started the project from some research that I did back in 2014 with the University of Brighton, where I'm also course leader and principal lecturer. And I was interested in domesticity and women's experience of it and how they told stories. And my research revealed that women sat and worked with cloth whilst childminding, doing all of the things that we do, that amazing multitasking thing that women do. And there was something about women working together with cloth in this way that really brought them together in solidarity. And this led me to look for a cloth that could somehow symbolise domesticity, but would also involve women stitching by hand. And this led me to the duster. So initially I stitched 7 dusters for a few dusters which I called Promises and Expectations, and they talked about happy ever after, this is not the end, the promise of the land far away, and also stitched a number of objects that related to domesticity, but also to some of the challenges that women experience in terms of their domestic environment. So for example, I included an iron because I discovered that that was one of the most used tools for domestic violence. And so there's a sort of a positive side to this project, but there's also some really sad things that we touch on as well. But the dusters that I have here they're probably about a third, maybe a quarter of the collection on display today. And they've been embroidered by women from across the globe. I could show you a few examples. So I'm going to find, if we go to this one here, this came from, the dusters went to Belgium during lockdown. I was unable to go with them, unfortunately, but this was one of the dusters that came back. I did a collaboration with the Profanity Embroidery group recently, and this was the only one that was not rude and could actually join this particular exhibition. If I bring you round here, this was stitched by one of my students. Her name's Ada. And what it says is, a woman shall serve her husband. She was a student from Egypt, and her grandmother told her if she carried on making tea that way, she would never get a decent husband. So this was her kind of rebellion against those expectations. Normally people use new dusters. I'm a sucker for that. It's lovely if a cloth has had a life, but I love a new duster. But sometimes people do choose used ones. So you can see here somebody stitched sweeping up onto an old one. Invisibility is something that comes up in conversation a lot, and also mothers. So I love this one. This has been in the project for a long time. Whenever I fold a fitted sheet making the moves, I like closing doors. I feel my mother, the smell of clean laundry is hers. And mothers are often referenced by people when I'm asking them about why they've stitched a particular duster, or in responses to the exhibition. So not surprisingly, predominantly women have responded. It is open to men as well, but it's women that are really taking up this cause, because unfortunately we have this legacy that's really hard to shake. I'm just looking for another good one to show you. Maybe if we come round here. Another good one. They're all good. They're all amazing. Knuckle duster. So this has a sad story behind it. The lady who stitched that just said to me, it means a lot, look after it. With a real lump in her throat. So this duster here was stitched by my friend Christine Chester, who sadly has recently passed away. And it says memory. And this was stitched in reference to her mum, who ended up caring for her father with dementia. And she was a woman who really enjoyed the perhaps more fun sides of domesticity, making jam, feeding her family. But she lost that. She lost that kind of joy of domesticity when she found herself homebound whilst caring for her husband with dementia. So that was Christine's sort of dedication to her mum, really. in that context. Another one came from India. She wanted to work with the duster. I do have another cloth at home actually from a lady in India where she chose a pink cloth that she herself used for dusting. But this tells the story of her family who were carpet makers. And so some of the dusters, it's really clear what people are saying. Other dusters have a more complex or more ambiguous story that sit behind them. But she chose to stitch this design as an acknowledgement of her family and the connection between home and family and domesticity. So this was stitched by someone called Karen Morgan. She's a graphic designer, so as you can tell, she took particular attention with the text. She found a quote, came from a poem. The poem said, "We are but dust and shadows," and she's written underneath it, "Shadows are a lot less work." And this kind of poet was very well known, very famous, and she thought about his wife behind him, as this kind of supportive woman who was sweeping up the dust while he was busy making big proclamations about something. She perhaps didn't really think that he knew what he was talking about when it came to dusting. So she had a lot of fun thinking up what to write about this. This one here, this is stitched by someone called Chloe van der Kerr, who I've worked with academically, and she has stitched "My time is not my own," and I think that's something lots of women relate to, the idea that we spend so much of our time caring for others, so much of our time pulling the home together around work and all of the many things that we do, that actually time just for us where we choose to spend it for ourselves is something that's a real privilege and not something we manage to have very often at all. She's got 2 small children, works full time, and really doesn't find that time when she has it spare is spent doing the types of things that she wants to do. And so she's used her duster to really sum up that experience too. What else have we got? Oh, Nonchalance Industry Rage. I have this on a postcard for sale around the corner. I think I've sold 5 already. This is by a friend of mine called Amy. Lots of these, I've sort of come to know people that stitch these dusters, and when I first started the project, honestly everyone I knew was asked to stitch one. I swear people would cross the road, "Oh no, she's going to make me stitch a duster." So some of these are from people that I know very well, but as the project has expanded, I've come to know lots of other people through it, which has been amazing. But she told me that this sums up her approach to domesticity. So she pretends she doesn't care, she gets a bit hacked off, then she starts cleaning, but then she gets really angry because no one else is doing it. I suspect nobody wants to do it with her when she's in the rage. Maybe that's also part of it. But that's something that I think lots of people are relating to here. And as I said, the postcard's been very, very popular. This is one of mine. So this says, "The needle jabs, my protected self bleeds red embroidery silk." And what I was trying to sum up with that was the way that, for me, stitching into a duster really embodies so many of my experiences as a woman. And I use it as a way of pouring out my experiences, reflecting on things, really just kind of holding everything about my home life within it. And sometimes that's hard, and sometimes that's much easier. And I did a sort of a self-portrait with the thread coming down to kind of cover my face, because I feel like the duster is holding me and is perhaps becoming a bit of a portrait of me because I've worked with it for so many years. This I stitched a long time ago, and I regretted it as soon as I'd started, because I wanted to stitch all of these different things that could be perceived as women's work around it. But having stitched a few, I had to finish it, and it went on forever because it's an exceptionally large duster. But really what I was doing with that was sort of saying, well, what is women's work, and can we please get away from the idea that women's work is domesticity? Because people talk about cleaning. Obviously, I'm presenting them with a cleaning cloth. Inevitably that will happen, but it's not about cleaning. The cleaning is a gateway. It's about all the things that women haven't done because they were doing the cleaning, because they were washing the floor, because they were cleaning the bathroom, because somebody needed them to do something that they weren't prepared to do for themselves. And so really it's about all of those lost things that have happened over hundreds of years, and hopefully moving towards a space where that no longer happens and there's much more equity. If you'd like to get involved in the project is ongoing. So if you contact me via @Domestic Dusters Instagram or via the blog, which I know will be shared alongside this particular video, I'd love to hear from you. Also happy to explore other exhibition opportunities, and opportunities to talk about the project. As you can hear, it's something that I'm really passionate about, and honestly anyone can join in. Men and women are very welcome to do so. Men, please don't be put off by all of these women's voices. It would be fabulous if you joined our cause as well. Thank you so much. It's been great to tell you something about the project.